Okay, let's talk about the Pacers. Pacers 1, Cavs 0. That's all I have to say. That's going to be, if you're watching the clip of this episode, that's what the title's going to be. Cers 1, Cavs 0. What a win. So the Pacers on Sunday night, they traveled to Cleveland at, I believe, 6 p.m. Eastern. Tyrese Halliburton got injured early, and the Pacers pulled out a fantastic 108-93 point win. They'll play the Cavaliers again at Gainbridge tonight. That game's on national television. It's on TNT. Very exciting there. But I want to talk about the first one. We're going to talk about, on Thursday, we're going to go over the second game between the Pacers and the Cavaliers. But I want to talk about the first one because I just think this is a monumental victory. The Cavs were on a 12-game winning streak. They were 33-4 overall coming into this game. They had never been held to under 100 points by anyone. The Pacers did it. The Pacers held them to 93. They won this game. They snapped that 12-game winning streak, and the Pacers are now 6-0 in 2025 with a statement exclamation point win. It was a great showing by the defense, which is obviously true when you look at the fact that the Cavaliers scored only 93. Again, this is the first team to keep the Cavs at under 100. Andrew Nembhard had a fantastic game. He's the team's best defender. He also bagged 19 points. He was 7 for 11 from the field. That's on the offensive side of the basketball. But really what stood out to me was the fact that the Cavaliers pride themselves on their front court, right? Jared Allen and Evan Mobley is a fantastic duo. They put two bigs on the floor most of the time. Really, the Cavaliers don't have a weakness. You've got two duos, right? You've got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. You've got Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. And, of course, there's always a fifth starter out there. But across the board, the Cavaliers have a roster composition that's capable of beating anybody. Clearly, they're 33-4, and they very well could win the World Championship later at the end of the summer. But Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, that's a pair of bigs. It's a pair of big men down there that is capable of truly anything. And they should be unstoppable. But somehow, Turner and Siakam and Mathurin outscored the trio of Allen, Mobley, and Dean Wade 45-30. It wasn't even close. And Thomas Bryant had 20 points off the bench. So the Pacers beat the Cavaliers really on their best area of the floor, and that's what stood out the most to me. Yes, the guard play was great from the Pacers. Yes, they won the backcourt as well. But the front court, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are supposed to be unstoppable. That pair of bigs is supposed to be just untouchable in the league, and for the most part they are, but in this game they were outscored by 15. That trio was outscored by Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, and Benedict Mathurin 45-30, and Thomas Bryant had a ton of points off of the bench. You should take all of that with a grain of salt. But both teams shot horribly. Really, the Cavaliers shot horribly, and that's why I say we should take this with a grain of salt. Because it's one thing to keep a team under 100. It's another thing to do so when they're shooting well, and the Cavaliers just weren't shooting well. They were 26% from the three. Both teams were under 50% from the floor. So this game was going to have to be won in the front court because the guards just weren't shooting well, right? There was no three-point presence for most of the game. That's the variable that could be the one minor tweak that alters the result for next time, because if the Cavaliers just have some of those shots start to fall, you're in a situation where potentially they swing the victory their way. Maybe the Pacers don't shoot well tonight and the Cavaliers win. That's one thing about basketball that's somewhat random and spontaneous. It's hard to really tell. And that's why we play 7-game series in the playoffs. It's hard to really tell what's truly a loss and what's just a loss because you're on an off night. This, I think, was a true loss for the Cavaliers. And the reason why I say that is because the Pacers adapted without Tyrese Halliburton. But if both teams were shooting poorly and the game was going to have to be won in the front court, right? If the backcourt was canceled out by both teams not being good enough, right? And the Pacers were still better than the Cavaliers in that category, but that only proves my point even more. If the game was going to have to be won in the front court, if that was going to be the battle that was going to need to be won, the Pacers won by 15, right? If you just take those three, Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, Benedict Mathurin, and then on the other side, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and Dean Wade, those are the three starting forwards and centers for both teams. 45-30, Pacers win. And Thomas Bryant had a ton of points off the bench, and that was a presence that the Cavaliers didn't have as well. So both teams shot horribly, but the Pacers won the front court with conviction, right? And again, Cleveland didn't shoot well. They really just had a bad game. They have another chance tonight. So if the Pacers win again, then especially if they win the same way, then we're really looking at a situation where the Pacers have the opportunity to consider themselves one of the best teams in the East. Now that they've beaten the Celtics twice, they could have they have the opportunity to beat the Cavaliers a second time as well. Only team they haven't beaten twice in the top 3 so far is the Knicks, and they've only played that team twice. Indiana had 6 in double digits. Very consistent performance. They did that without Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton was not one of those 6 because he left the game in the first half. Andrew Nembhard was the true difference. He had 19 points, 2 steals, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 64% shooting from the field, and he was making tough shots and some clutch shots too, especially on some of those drives. He has such a smooth game. Andrew Nembhard, very elusive. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league, and I think he played a fantastic game the other night. Halliburton went down early in this game still. Obi Toppin, Thomas Bryant, Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Miles Turner, and Pascal Siakam all found themselves in double-digit scoring numbers. Absolutely fantastic performance from the Pacers. And what is exciting is answering the question of whether or not they can replicate it tonight in round 2. They play the Cavs again at Gamebridge. This is a division opponent, so they'll play they'll play this team 4 times throughout the year. They play another, I think it's a back-to-back. If not, they play twice in the same week in March. For now, this is their really only test against the Cavaliers across the board. They won the first one. Can they win the second? It's at Gamebridge at 7 on TNT, national television. The world is watching. Now, Tyrese Halliburton, at last check, is likely, it's Tuesday morning, right? It's 6:37 a.m. Tuesday morning, January 14. I believe it's January 14, yeah. Tyrese Halliburton is likely to miss this game, and probably even more time after that. I'm thinking weeks. I'm afraid for that, but the Pacers played well without him last game, so I imagine that they'll be able to move on perfectly fine without him moving forward. He's likely to miss this game. That will be an issue. But again, the Pacers beat the Cavaliers without Tyrese Halliburton last time, and they're now at home. That would mean that Andrew Nembhard moves to point guard, and Ben Sheppard enters the starting lineup and goes to shooting guard, right? So Andrew Nembhard at point guard, that is going to be very interesting as well. He's great as a leader of the backcourt. Can he be the leader of the backcourt and the player expected to marshal the basketball the best on the team as the point guard? That's what we're looking forward to seeing from Andrew Nembhard. Ben Sheppard, he had a couple clutch threes the other night. He's had some bright moments throughout the season. I really like Ben Sheppard. I want to see him come to really stand up and be outstanding in this game, right? Because we need a fifth starter that's going to be outstanding. We had that last week, or at least last game a couple nights ago. With Tyrese Halliburton out, can Ben Sheppard step up and maybe not replace his role, but certainly get close? That's what we want to see from Ben Sheppard. That's what we want to see from Andrew Nembhard. The keys to victory are pretty simple because we just saw the Pacers achieve a victory. We want to see them maintain their successes from last time again, right? We need to see them win the front court and win the turnover battle. There was that swing at the beginning of the third quarter where it was close at halftime. It was close at the beginning of the third quarter, and then there was that horrific swing and that fantastic run where the Pacers went. I think over the course of many minutes, it was a 32-7 run for the Pacers to pull away when the Cavs were up. And there was some sloppy turnovers. There was some bad defense, right? There was some missed shots. So really that's the recipe for failure for Cleveland. Not all of those things will necessarily happen again. So maintain those successes. Win the front court. Andrew Nembhard needs to be great. Ben Sheppard needs to be great. I would love to see great things from TJ McConnell as well. Win the turnover battle and win the front court. And there's a great chance that the Pacers are going to win this game again. Cleveland's just them simply shooting better could swing this result entirely, right? The Pacers are at home, but if you alternate those shooting percentages, which both teams are capable of both, right? Pacers are clearly capable of shooting well. The Cavaliers are capable of shooting poorly. Both teams are capable of shooting in those ranges. If you just flip that result, the game probably switches as well. So watch out for that, right? It's one thing to beat the Cavaliers and hold them to under 100, but they were 26% from 3. That's going to be much easier to see if that is the case. A team this good, a team like the Cavaliers that's this good, should not be letting the missed shots and the turnovers and the sloppy defense happen twice in a row. They lost to the Hawks twice in a row. I don't think it's likely that they'll lose to the Pacers twice in a row. They're playing the same opponent just a few days apart after that loss. The Pacers are without their star and Tyrese Halliburton. The Pacers are going to fight to hold their fort down at home, but the Cavaliers, again, a team that's 33-5, and that's counting the loss to the Pacers. They were 33-4. A team like that should not probably lose the same way in a span of 3 days against the same team that's missing their star in the second game, right? So we'll see if the Pacers can do it. I basically outlined how they could win the front court, win the turnover battle, maintain your successes from last time. and move forward. But either way, even if this is a complete blowout, right? Even if the Pacers lose by 50 to the Cavaliers, they won that first game on the road. They extended that win streak. They are now 6-0 in 2025. They snapped the 12-game winning streak with the Cavaliers, and now the Pacers have proven that they are at least capable of winning a game off of the Cavaliers, the Celtics, the Knicks. We can keep going down the list. The Magic, right? The Bucks they haven't beaten yet, but they have 2 more chances. We'll see how that goes. And of course, they knocked out the Bucks in the playoffs last year. The Pacers are doing great things. They beat the Cavaliers. Cers 1, Cavs 0. It doesn't matter how great the Cavaliers' record is until 7 p.m. tonight. They will still be 0-1 against the Pacers, and that is a fantastic thing to be able to say.